Evening and welcome to Ride Out Cancer, The Journey's Real. My name is Sheila and I am an administrative assistant.
Hi, I'm Bethany. I am Sheila's daughter. I currently work in a laboratory, and I'm going to school to be a phlebotomist.
Hi, I'm Stacy. I am a driver recruiter for a trucking company here locally. I'm also a breast cancer survivor of 11 years.
Hi, I'm Brittany. I'm a medical assistant.
Hello, I'm Tammy, and I'm a retired stay-at-home grandmother.
And I work as a neurodiagnostic technician.
All right.
All right. And
You wanted to touch your opening statement?
we're here to support you in your journey of cancer or someone in your family that's had cancer. Ride Out Cancer was founded in 2015 by my husband, John Casey, who put this together for his cousin, Kathy, who now is a 11-year, how many years?
11-year survivor?
Kathy? 8
8.
year survivor. Wow. 8-year survivor of breast cancer.
So, what Ride Out's mission here in our community is that Ride Out Cancer is here to ease the financial burdens that comes along in undergoing cancer treatments for our local families. We assist in help paying mortgages, rents, utilities, medical, and other medical expenses that are not covered by health insurances. We help provide food and household necessities. We have a food pantry here in our home that we help our cancer patients whenever they can't get to the grocery store, especially during this pandemic. We have helped them not to have to go into the public. We're always looking for donations and sponsors for what we're doing here in the community.
Okay. Marion?
Okay.
Just
Bear with us a little bit. This is our first test run on this. And what we're actually doing is it's called The Journey's Real. And the way that started out is I'm a member of Ride Out Cancer with all of my fellow panel members here. And 2 weeks ago, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And it kind of threw me for a loop. And I made the suggestion, let's do like a panel. Let's all sit down and talk about what's going on in our lives, how our journey is. And everybody was on board with it, and we decided to make it The Journey's Real because it hits home. We have a survivor, which is Stacy, and I'm a newly breast cancer survivor. And
Yes.
You'll go through the journey along with me throughout these segments that we do.
So, as I said, I am an 11-year cancer survivor. And to follow up what Mary Ann was saying, we got sharing amongst each other experiences that Mary Ann is starting to go through. And we found ourselves a few times saying, hey, I kind of felt that way, or this is what I had to go through. I want to make it clear that everyone's cancer journey is their own. Nobody's is the same. It's all individuals. And so we in no way doing this want to say, oh, your cancer journey is going to be the same as mine or Mary Ann's. But in talking to each other, the panel kind of jumped in and wanted to listen to what we were saying. And we felt since we do things monetarily to help cancer patients, is why we decided to maybe we could also help with support and all types of cancer. We're going to start this off with breast cancer because that's kind of what we know. But as we follow kind of through my journey and my support with Mary Ann and the things that she will go through, we're hoping that folks will call in and say, hey, yeah, I went through chemotherapy, for example. I've lost my hair. I don't know anyone who has been through that also. So we'll touch base more on those things as we go through the weeks that we are doing this panel. And we sure hope that you will call in or send us a message. And if you need financial help or you love what we're doing and you want to help, please donate. I just want to touch base here a little bit before I get into my cancer story. I'm a mom of 3 daughters, and my youngest daughter at the time I was diagnosed 11 years ago was going through, she was still in high school, but also doing a vocational schooling to be a CNA. And I found in my box of breast cancer trinkets that I have was something that she had wrote her and 2 of her classmates on a project on breast cancer. And I felt this was very fitting to kind of get things going tonight, to get the ball rolling. So it's just called breast cancer. And it starts off with, what is breast cancer? Who does breast cancer affect, and is there a treatment for this? What treatments are out there, and are they safe? All of these questions, and hopefully many more, will be answered throughout this presentation. Breast cancer is a malignant tumor that starts from the cell of the breast. A malignant tumor is a group of cancer cells that may grow into surrounding tissues or spread to distant areas of the body. The disease occurs mainly in women, but men can get it too. A woman's breast may go through temporary changes associated with the monthly menstrual cycle, and lump may form. These lumps are not necessarily cancerous, but should be examined by a professional immediately. 1 out of every 8 women who were to live to at least 85 would be expected to have the disease. 2/3 of the women with breast cancer are over 50, and most of the rest are between the ages of 39 and 49. Symptoms of breast cancer include the following: a thickening in the breast or armpit, a change in the size or shape of the breast, scaling of the skin, or a nipple that turns in, even a green or bloody fluid that comes from the nipple, or a change in the color or feel of the skin around the nipple. If you have any of these signs or symptoms, please consult with your physician immediately. Thankfully, there are many treatments for this horrible disease. One of the most popular treatment would be chemotherapy, which is using drugs to kill rapid growing cells. Side effects include hair loss, loss of nail growth, and change in blood cell counts, because these are all rapid growing cells. Other symptoms include early menopause, hot flashes, and fatigue. Also, a few other options for treatments are followed: hormone therapy, surgery, biological therapy, and systematic therapy. Most of the time, only one treatment is necessary, but in order to choose the right treatment for you, be sure to talk with your doctor and loved ones to decide what's best. For a lot of women, dealing with breast cancer is very challenging. Since a lot of women use chemotherapy, a major side effect is hair loss. Some women, along with the cancer, must be treated for depression. Some women get breast cancer at a younger age than average. They must also deal with the possible presence of death. It is very fearful for women who have new families or who are uprising in their lifelong career. Treatments may put you out of commission for days, causing more chaos around the home. It is different when cancer comes close to home. You can see what the definition of strong really is. Cancer can change everything in a household, and though you may try not to let it change your daily life, in reality, it changes everything. Recently, my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. She's talking about me. When the testing first started, it was scary, but nothing like the day we found out. All I could think of was, it wasn't supposed to be her. Since that day, my life has changed a lot. I have picked up many more responsibilities at home, and my family lives with the constant fear of what will happen next. Though the doctors have put an excellent prognosis of her condition, it is the side effects that come along with it. From the time we found out about the cancer, we have prepared for the things that may come along with treatment. Last Friday, my mom began to lose her hair. Before this happened, we tried to joke around what it would be like when it happened. When I found out my mom was losing her hair, it was like telling me that she had cancer all over again. We couldn't see the actual disease on the outside of her body until it just started to show the battle scars. More than 200,000 women a year are diagnosed with breast cancer, and more than 40,000 women a year survive breast cancer. I hope I will be able to say one day that Mom is too a survivor. This paper was made to express the understanding, treatments, and a true story about breast cancer. Science has already come a long way in finding a cure. Breast cancer is the most curable and has the high survival rate of any other cancer. There are several foundations throughout the country to support fight against breast cancer. There has been much learned through our research and more of a sense of self-confidence for a fight for the cure. We all hope that in one way or another we'll be able to play our part in a hope for the cure.
That's amazing.
Wow.
That is really amazing, and that shows the emotion behind someone that is your support system that went through it, but not herself, but was your, who did from the other side, you
Sure.
know? So that's all I've ever known. I've had so many people in my family had certain types of cancer,
So
and
now-
it hits so close.
Rereading this,
Mm-hmm.
how does that make you feel right now?
All of it was fine till I get to the part of how it affected her and how it took me back to those days when I did lose my hair. Was one of the toughest things when I was diagnosed. So, and I told Marianne, or shared with Marianne, that when her husband said, told us about Marianne being diagnosed, how it felt like a real kick in the gut, because I didn't want anybody, any of my loved ones, to go through what I had to do.
Right.
And I felt sad, but then I also knew, hey, I've got to pick it up and be strong for Marianne and be positive,
Right.
and she's going to be fine. And I hope that she doesn't have the journey that I had, which was, the chemo, the whole 9 yards. But I think sharing some of my things, I hope, will help her and help
Absolutely.
others.
Absolutely.
That's amazing, Stacy.
It really is. Yes. Oh, I'll never forget when my sister was diagnosed. She was her 40th birthday, and she was alone. She was by herself. And she was 40, so I'm 14 years younger than her. So I can remember the phone call because I could hear her crying on the phone talking to my dad. Please come and get me. She's standing on the corner downtown at U of L by herself. And the thing is insurances won't pay.
That's what's crazy.
That is crazy. Won't pay unless you are 40. So when she got diagnosed at 40, and I was still so young, 14 years younger than her, I had to start getting tested early in life. So I had to find resources to help me get that done. So that was a struggle.
But they are out there.
They are out there.
Resources are out there.
But it was a struggle. Like I had to go to the health department. Sometimes the bus, the Brown Cancer Center bus was out at the health department, so I had to go there. I had to find ways to get it financed because your insurance won't pay for it, and that's the bad thing.
And at 14, or young, a young lady, I'm sure that was very,
I'm 14 years younger than her.
Yeah.
She's
Oh,
40, so I was.
but still in your
26,
30s,
26
yeah,
years old.
20s,
Mhm.
and you have to go do that.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, to have them squashed and, there's things
I'll
that
never
are.
forget my first one. I cried. I'm like, oh my God, it's torture.
It is.
It is.
It is.
There can't be any other way to explain it other than that, but you have to get it done.
Yeah, because they just.
Yeah.
Well, when I found out about mine, I mean, my first reaction was they called me while I was at work. And my first reaction was, I have to get some air. I've got to go out. So I went out and I sat in my car and I felt sorry for myself a little bit. I cried. I got angry about it.
It's a grieving
But then,
process.
it is, it's a grieving process. But then my sister and I were talking on the phone and she said, it's because you think, why me? And that was the whole thing. Yeah, why me? But then I started thinking, well, why not me? So when I went to the surgeon last week, I decided to go ahead and have the genetic testing done. Because if I have the gene, because my mother was 74 when she had breast cancer. So if I get the genetic testing done, then I know that my two daughters and my sisters, then we have to really be careful with it.
Right.
But it would be selfish for me not to get that genetic testing done.
I got it done.
Because then they're going to sit there and they're going to worry, is this something that I'm going to get? Because the doctors used to tell me, well, your mother was in her 70s, so chances are, you won't. And insurance didn't want to pay for it because my
Right.
mom was in her 70s,
Mhm.
so they didn't want to pay for it. But now that I have it, of course, now I've got to get the test done, and that should be coming in within the next 2 weeks. And of course, then I'll let everybody know how that
But
goes.
does it have to be like hereditary, or can you just get it?
Mm-mm.
No, it doesn't have to be hereditary. You can just get it, because in my case, there's breast cancer, esophageal cancer, there's uterine cancer, there's colon cancer, there's intestinal cancer, there's liver cancer, lung cancer, and I'm talking, these are all close relatives. So like brothers and
I was
sisters,
gonna
mom
say
and dad.
immediate family.
Immediate family. So I had the genetic testing done just because there are so many types of cancer that runs in my family. So my gynecologist she was like, you really need to get this done. Because, of course I was going through menopause and she needed to know whether or not I could do estrogen or not. So that was a big factor in my recovery from menopause as to whether or not I am susceptible due to family history to contract some type of cancer,
Mhm.
given there's so many cancers that run in I thought we thought that the breast cancer was definitely a genetic thing. Ended up it wasn't.
No.
So I still remember when my mother
Yeah.
got cancer. She was scared.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So talking about getting diagnosed, I'd kind of like to do a little testimony. I think it's really important while we're on the subject of getting diagnosed. Real quick, in 2009, June of 2009, I was married at the time, and my husband and I threw soft tip darts in a league. And I'm very short, as you all know.
You're just too
And
cute.
they had like these chairs that we're sitting in. They were high back bar stools, and so I was resting my arm on this bar stool, waiting for it to be my turn. And when I turned, I just brushed. I don't mean bump. I just brushed against this back of this bar stool or the chair, and it was kind of like maybe a sharp kind of pain, dull ache, somebody pinched me kind of thing. But I just was like, I'm in the middle of a bunch of people, it's my turn. I just went on with it. Well, on the way home, on the drive home, I was like, hey, I wonder what in the world that was. There was something in my bra, So I slid my hand down my shirt, and we're going to keep it real. Right above my nipple, I felt what felt like a small grape right up against the skin. And so I'm like, oh, crap, what is this? So I go home. My sister's a nurse. And so I call my mom first. And I'm like, Mom, I said, ask Lori, what this could be. She said, I said, does breast cancer run in our family? Should I be worried? And she said, no. She said, a year or two prior to that, my sister had a cyst removed out of her breast. And she said, we went through the whole family asking if there's any cancer that runs the family, and nobody had it. And she said, so I don't think you have anything to worry about, but obviously we must have a history of these cysts. So I went and got a mammogram about maybe a week or so later, trying to be a good girl and get it checked out. And I showed the lady where it was, and she marked it. And they do the mammogram, and so I wait. And about a week later, they called. I'm like, here we go. They're going to say it's something's there, duh. And the lady calls and she says, I'd like to tell you, she said, your mammogram came out normal. What? Normal? There's something there. You marked it. Hello? So, okay, thanks. So it was time for my lady appointment. So I go it's around my birthday is in August. So I go to the gynecologist, and of course he does his examination. He says, oh, what do we got here? And he said, you need to have a mammogram done. And I said, I've already had one done, and they said that it was normal. He says, He said, well, a mammogram will just show calcifications. It will not show a fluid-filled cyst. It won't pick it up. It's like an x-ray.
Mhm.
So he said, I'll tell you what. He said, do you have any history? I said, nope. He said, what you need to do, he said, is call your general surgeon, make an appointment to get an ultrasound. He said, and you two will make the decision either to aspirate it, cut it out, or do nothing. I'm a big baby when it comes to needles. Scared. Like, I'll go into shock over an IV. Back at that time, anyway. And so you give me the choice of needle, knife, or nothing, and I'll pick nothing every time. Why do I need to call him? On top of that, I'd had my gallbladder taken out about 2 years before that, or a year before that, and I still owed the surgeon about $500. So I'm like, I have to pay him. And it was right after the recession of 2008. I've got to be at work every day. I don't have time for this. There have been a lot of layoffs, so we were very short-staffed. So I made an excuse after excuse after excuse not to go. And we went to St. Martin to the Caribbean in November. Just
Lucky you.
yeah,
No.
just my parents and my sister and my husband and two of her friends. And by November, I stood like this. I cradled my left breast because it hurt so bad. And it was like taking the gravity or the weight off of it would relieve it. I didn't even realize I stood like this. And my mom would say, why do you stand like that all the time? Does that really bother you that bad? And I was like,
It just became a habit after a while.
oh yeah. Well, it relieved it. So I just,
Mhm.
yeah, just did that way. So we're in St. Martin and I was feeling tired and what have you. Not horribly bad, like I was sick, but my mom had asked me about standing like that. And I was like, well, feel this, Mom. And I had my sister feel it, but never with my shirt off. It was always through my clothes. So I was like, does it seem like it's getting bigger to you? Well, we went through the holidays in December. January, I decided to change primary care doctors. And because if anything was wrong, I wanted to be treated in Louisville, not in southern Indiana where I lived. And while I was there visiting this new doctor, I walked across the street to see my sister because she worked at a downtown hospital. And we got on the elevator with a lady that she worked, one of her coworkers. And my sister says to this coworker, will you please tell my sister where to go to get this cyst checked out? She says she's got this cyst. I think she's afraid to go because it's kind of big. Will you please, and this girl said, she goes, this lady's had lots of cysts removed. And she goes, oh yeah, it's no big deal. You go to this diagnostic center, da, 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 da. Okay, cool. I was on my lunch break or, the heck of the morning off, went back to work. This is on a Tuesday. I called the place, told them what was going on. They had me in for an ultrasound the next day. The lady that did the ultrasound kept saying, how long have you had this? How long have you had this? I said 7 months. For crying out loud, isn't it just a fluid-filled cyst? She said, Stace, this has got its own blood supply.
So that's where your journey began.
Wow,
Yeah.
Stace.
So that day I wound up getting, and I still was aggravated because you're just taking up my time. I guess she was like, I still did not want to accept what she was saying.
Right.
So what's the deal? Well, it's kind of a fluid-filled cyst, but it's got its own blood supply. You need to have a mammogram.
My goodness
They
gracious.
did a mammogram right then and there. The doctor, as I walked out of the room to get the mammogram done, he said, you will have a biopsy before Friday. This was on Wednesday.
Wow.
Thursday, they had me in for a biopsy. And Friday, before noon, they called and said, thank goodness we did this.
Wow.
Back to this real quick, talking about the symptoms and what to look for. I was always told or heard or whatever, a cancer doesn't hurt. Trust me, it does.
It can.
It can,
It
yeah.
can.
It
It
can
can.
hurt, right. The thing about what you look like, my nipples were inverted and had been, but my sister never saw that. And she said, why didn't you tell me? And I said,
Were they
I'm thinking
always,
it just
were they
said-
always that way though? Was,
On and off, but I
So
mean,
You
it
saw
just,
the change in,
yeah, but I just,
but it wasn't enough to catch your attention.
no,
to be
and where
like,
the placement of the cyst was,
Mhm.
I felt was, if that's what it was with the cyst, was pulling in on it. Oh, maybe
Gotcha.
this thing's growing, is pulling, but still, it was, to me, it wasn't cancer.
right,
You
it
know.
just, you were in basic, deep denial.
I was just like over it.
Yeah.
It's one of these things we're gonna get all excited about, and there's
It's gonna be
really nothing wrong.
You didn't wanna make a big to-do
Yeah.
about it.
So definitely, if you go get a mammogram, you feel something there,
Mhm.
do what the doctor says and be adamant about your health care.
Yeah.
Get an ultrasound,
Right.
get a second opinion.
well, you only
follow
have
through
one
with it.
body.
That's right.
You have one body, and we don't get any second chances. Well, some of us may be lucky to catch a second chance, but you got to take care of what you have, because if you neglect
Get tested.
yourself and
Always
you
get
don't get
tested.
tested and do your proper screenings,
Do what you need to do.
you got to take care of you. Your health is number one,
That's right.
and that's what I believe.
Do we
We all
have
need
anybody
to.
watching?
Well, real quick, before
Before?
anybody does anything, we just want everybody to know that none of us are medical professionals.
No.
So anything that we're sharing on here is simply things that we've gone through or things that
Mhm.
we've seen.
Personal experience.
So if you feel a lump, and in my case, I didn't feel anything at all. But make sure that you get your mammograms done. Make sure you talk to your medical professionals.
Absolutely.
And like I said, we're just here for support and talking amongst ourselves, but we're not medical professionals to help.
We're hopefully gonna have one day, hopefully, we're hopeful to have someone here at some point on the panel to, be a medical professional. And if you have any questions or a story that you would like to share, please feel free to call us. I think that our number is, on the screen.
If anybody wanted to call in and ask any questions or share their story, what would the number be?
It would be,
Number would be 502-909-0136.
okay, so it's not on the screen? Okay.
Okay, so once again, it's 502-909-0136. If anyone wants to call now while we're still up tonight, go ahead, feel free.
If you want to talk about your journey or, and it doesn't necessarily mean your own journey, it could mean someone close to you that went through it and what you went through as the support system for that person.
Right.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be about cancer itself, but how you dealt with a loved one that
Or
went
breast
through the same
cancer. It
thing.
could be any type of
Exactly.
cancer.
It could be any
We're
type
here
of cancer.
for everyone, because cancer does not discriminate
Neither do we.
whatsoever.
No, and it
And-
takes a village. It really takes a village
Absolutely.
to get somebody through it.
I know sometimes it's hard to talk about, and sometimes even harder when you don't have anybody to talk to with your fears and your concerns or how,
Needing the support.
yeah.
And that's a big thing of what we do as Ride Out Cancer, is we are a huge support system
Mhm.
for anyone we come into contact with, whether it be to talk to, shoulder to cry on, or you need help and you need help finding resources. That's another part of what we do.
And we also need support too for our organization. And some people are afraid to give money because they're always afraid, of organizations. But this organization everything is out there. Everything is ready for anyone who wants to come over and look at the books, look at anything. This is 100% nonprofit.
We are a complete legal 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we gained our license, our legal license in 2019. Whereas before we were helping American Cancer Society, piggybacked off of their 501c3 to help raise money for research, and a little bit after that with another cancer organization, and now we are our own. Our funding comes from the generosity of the people. So if you would like to donate, we have the information. Brittany is going to let you know.
So for the donations, excuse me, you can go to Ride to Ride Out Cancer page on Facebook, or you can contact John Casey, which is the founder. His phone number is 502-408-0327.
And also another avenue that we take is called Queen of Hearts. Tammy's got that information.
Yes, Queen of Hearts Draw is at Danny's Place on Wednesday nights, and the location is 2858 Kentucky 44, Shepherdsville, Kentucky 40165. It's Wednesday night at 6, and then we have a drawing at 8. The tickets are $2 a piece, and our current total right now is $7,306 with a payout of $3,653.
And the other half goes to helping cancer patients. We help patients with their expenses, like their mortgage, their utilities, medical expenses that their insurance doesn't carry, and things of that nature. Each person is different, so it depends on the person that comes to us what their basic needs are. So we can do that for about a month to a month and a half. We can help an individual with just to take some of the burden off of the everyday worry, so they can focus on getting well. They have to be going through treatment though in order to qualify. And also we want to mention one of our sponsors tonight who is a big part of what we do, Metro One Heating and Cooling, Mr. Steve Redmond. We want to thank you for everything you've done for our organization show. And I think that about wraps it up for tonight.
Well,
So-
I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, hope to see everyone at Queen of Hearts Draw tomorrow night.
Yes,
6 o'clock.
absolutely. But there's also a huge team behind this panel of ladies that we cannot forget about.
Yeah, it's not just us. We have our significant others, and we also have
And children's.
and children's
Can't forget us kids.
and children's. I want to say a big, huge shout out to Mr. Dillon for everything that he's done for us.
Which is
Thanks,
behind
Dylan.
our computer
behind
tonight.
the scenes
Thank
tonight.
you.
Appreciate it.
We have Wib,
Mr. James Hayden,
Hayden.
which is Mary Ann's husband.
and my husband John Casey.
He's back there as well. The
And-
guys are being camera shy tonight,
Yeah, they
guys.
really are.
My husband, Tony Wagner.
And then we have my
Woo!
boyfriend,
Yeah.
Tony Borden, who couldn't be with us tonight.
Tony, come up here.
Where are you?
My significant other,
Where are you
Larry.
going with?
He's getting Larry.
Oh,
Hey,
and
Larry.
you can't forget Larry, Stacy's
Because he wasn't staying
Stacy's
here.
other half. We have a huge support with everyone
What's
here.
he doing?
And then make sure that we are gonna be on Tuesdays.
Yep, every Tuesday
Every
night.
Tuesday, from 7:30 to 8 or later, it just depends.
Come on.
Get,
Come on, Larry,
really
get up
quick.
here.
get over here.
Come on.
You're at every event. People see your face anyway.
I really
Come on.
have to say, I've got to say
Stacy's
this.
husband.
Stacy's
boyfriend.
husband Larry, he's
The other half.
He's a latecomer, but I have to say this. This has got to be by far, as long as we have done this, the best group that has ever volunteered for this organization, and we couldn't be more blessed to have these people in our lives. So, with that
Blessed to
being
be a
said,
part of it.
Yes.
Yes, very much so.
Make sure you love you guys all. Love every single
So
one
every
of you.
Tuesday from 7:30 to 8 or later.
that's right.
Yep.
And see you at Queen of Hearts Draw tomorrow
Let-
night.
Let's end it this way. On 3, cancer sucks.
Well, wait a minute.
So
Like,
make sure you like, subscribe, share, and even comment on the YouTube page.
and please feel free to call.
Yes.
Yes.
Or live chat.
Or like, yeah, we
Yeah,
can
we
live
have that
chat.
option.
Cancer sucks on 3.
Yep. One.
Two.
Well,
No, we say. You can't say
hashtag.
You can't say that.
Well, I'll say it.
Yeah.
Cancer sucks.
Cancer waits up.
1, 2, 3, cancer sucks.
Cancer sucks.
So hopefully join us next Tuesday with the remainder of Stacy's story.
Yes.
We're gonna kick it off officially. This was kind of like our trial run, working with cameras, making sure everything was set up. kind of give everybody a little bit of tidbit of information.
If you stop by tomorrow night at Danny's place, tell them where you seen us at, where you heard it at.
Why can't we just say fuck cancer?
And like our.
You just said it.
Well, there it is, y'all. There it is.